Okay, this is Gina Dick. She's the internal auditor. Have I spoke to you on the phone or something, Nate?
Okay. And you're an internal auditor also?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You look so young.
And I'm not sure if you've seen the advanced agenda for the A&A committee meeting, but there will be an update. I won't go into a lot of detail, but there will be an update regarding the SES program, and that an audit has been started. So anything, right.
And I don't know if, I really don't know if she understands what you should have. I was just kind of talking to her that I had told her last week about one of the providers using different names and how it was how to use 3 different names. And she went to the provider and asked him why he used the name rather than, and that's a concern for me, that they're actually going to the people and informing them that the district possibly wants to know this. So I don't know if she kind of understands that any kind of discrepancy probably should,
should be reported to the Office of Internal Audit. And that was what I wanted to emphasize in my email to both her and to Jill, because I saw where they had been copied on some of the terminations, but I did not know about the terminations or the reasons for them prior to the dispatch article. So,
because now I don't know what happened with that, because when I told, I don't know if you know, she saw some things from Attorney Petrakis, because he went on and gave, when I told him that, he gave me this, and that was a letter to the board president, and she probably passed it on, but it was a letter to the board president, and in that letter he had included the termination letters.
There are second pages. I'm going to say I don't think I saw this particular letter. I did see a letter where you had mentioned that AmeriCom had been terminated and that they were still on the ODE website. But I don't see that as being part of this conversation. So that was when I became aware that these terminations were going on for reasons, for suspicion of fraudulent behavior.
So I didn't know whether you wanted to, so I thought that I would bring that copy for you to show you that Petrakis had sent a copy February 21st.
Okay, yeah, what I would like to do is, if I am as the district internal auditor, I will take anything that you want to share with me, and it will be part of the investigation.
Okay, that's what this is, I thought. And of course I didn't make copies of it.
No, that's fine.
Yeah.
No.
So I thought maybe someone could make copies of them here after we were done.
Okay, yeah, we can do that. We can probably get someone in Joyce's office to make copies for us.
And you got this. This is Mr. Whitaker's speech at the board meeting.
Yes, I did have a copy of that. What I don't have a copy of, you had mentioned, and if it's here in the SES office, I can get a copy of it from them. I think you had mentioned an agreement with someone to be paid. I want to say it was someone who was being paid.
I think I'm going to get to all that.
Okay.
So if you, I just go through this real quick and I could not, and I don't know whether you were able to, I still could not get any purchasing manual because I don't have any problem with you giving me something that's going to explain to me why something happened. And that's all I was saying to Mr. Braverman, to Ms. Hackett, to Mr. Carney. Okay, if you're going to tell me that you're doing it this way, all I'm asking for is a district policy. I was in the system. We can't do anything without it being written. So what they gave me was a grid, and the grid only, it says that the board has to approve this, and that.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, okay, what you're giving me is not what was followed. So all I'm saying is, if you're saying this is it, then you're violating it. But if you give me something that is a district policy that says it needs to be done this way, then I'm fine. They would not produce that policy, and they kept saying to me that that this grid is the one-page. Mr. Braverman wrote me and said that that grid was actually, and here's the grid. He is saying that that is the purchasing manual, but the board policy, and I know this from being in the system, as you can see, it's a very descriptive purchasing manual according to the board policy. It's very descriptive. It entails quite a bit more than this.
Mm-hmm. And when, is this something that we provided as part of the records request, this document here?
No, that's on your website under board policies.
Okay. And yeah, I'm familiar with this for sure. And I am.
And you can see here where Mr. Braverman says the purchasing grid that has is the only thing. But this can't be the only thing. And if you want to tell me to keep looking at the purchasing grid, here are all the requirements for if you approve something for a vendor over $25,000 for each vendor.
Mm-hmm. Let me, I have that, and I have access to this.
Okay.
Let me, I can't get, okay, you know, I don't have this.
Okay.
Yeah. Let me
label the ones. I need some stickers. And I can just label the ones you do.
Can you get some post-it notes from Joyce or from someone over in that area? Okay.
Yeah, I think you have that because you actually said to me, yeah, this is the policy.
Mm-hmm. I work in purchasing, so let me see if there is something, an actual manual.
And it also said there's a manual in a audit that they did back in 2002. It referred to the manual. A state audit sent me a copy no, they didn't send me a copy. If you go to their website, a particular audit that they did at the time that they $225,000 was stolen. Mm-hmm. And that's when they insisted that the district, they gave them a purchasing manual and they wanted them to update it and make sure that it was in place.
Was that the special review in relation to, I want to say, Shirley, I can't think of her last name. I'm familiar, I wasn't here when that happened, but I'm familiar with her.
Sherry Bird Law.
Sherry Bird Law. Yeah. And that is, they refer to it as a purchasing manual.
Okay, so I know what that special review was on, that special audit was all about.
Did you get my email today?
Today?
I sent you an email today, actually breaking down this whole thing. This is the email I sent today.
Let's see. It's number 843. No, but that doesn't mean that, no, I haven't received it yet from that Swear because it was sent around 8:43 this morning. I'm just making a note that it hasn't been received as of 1:34.
Yeah, I know you, I don't know whether you saw this, but I don't think you saw this.
I haven't seen either the front or the back, so I can get a copy of front and back of this one.
Yeah, that's where I put in your email, that's where Dennis Carney questioned why all the vendors were going under one purchase order, and he questioned why they weren't board approved, why there wasn't a board approval date. That's why we thought, okay, now the purchasing department is going to take care of this before we shell out all this money. And then Ms. Hackey gave me this, the backside of it, probably maybe about 2 weeks ago. It showed me what their response, a month ago. They showed me Dennis Carney had written, and he had said if Jill Miller has the invoice approval in place, but there is no approval in place, and we're still steadily shelling out all this money.
Okay. Can I get a copy of front and back on that one?
I think that you might have a copy of this House bill, because I think what they're trying to do is act under this House bill right here, which is why I think that they thought that they could put those under super blanket orders. House bill was done, and it was saying that you could actually make up super blanket certificates. I've just never seen them. For being in the system, I've just never had anyone refer to these super blanket certificates, but it talks about in this House bill, but it was only for gas, electricity, those types of things, and then it was for professional or consulting services. If you, the only problem is with that, there are no contractual agreements, and these super blanket certificates are not vendor specific, which is what the assistant treasurer said on the video. He said, well, the reason the board isn't approving the multi-million-dollar purchase orders is because they're not vendor specific and there's no contractual agreements. I don't think he understood that we did enter into contractual agreements with these SES vendors. Each of them have contractual agreements. And you also have to have a specific line item for these blanket certificates. There are no specific line items for an NCLB grant, Title I grant. That's not a line item for gas, electric, you know. Mm-hmm. That's not a line item. So they could not use those, and they were using these things called, and you saw the claim for consultant payment sheets, right? Okay, they were using those claims for consultant payment sheets, but if you will note on here,
you want a copy of that? No, I can download that.
Okay. If you note on here that the claim for consultant payment sheets were only supposed to be used for legal, consulting, architectural services, and would fall in this category. They're using that claim for consultant payment. It also says that the claim for consultant payment is used in lieu of a contractual agreement. As I said, the NCLB vendors have contractual agreements. And it also has to be approved by legal counsel. When I asked Lauren Braverman, where's the approval to use this paperwork, he stated that he could not find it. But those should have never been used, those claims for consultant sheets. And when you look at them, you kind of could tell because it has on there how much gas mileage are you using.
Okay, so the comment that was made from legal was right now, at that point in time, the reason for using that form could not be found.
Right, they couldn't find the, he said he believes it was verbal, but you don't verbal a claim for consultant, so he couldn't find that. And it does, it says, and that's on number 11, it says have the vendor complete an agreement to provide consultant services. This form is approved by the legal department and may be used in lieu of a consultant's contract.
Okay, I see that I haven't looked at that.
That's number 11. See, we would have only fallen, the vendors would have only fallen into this category to offer tutoring services.
Okay, like I said, I have this.
I don't know if you, well, you probably didn't, but I had asked why Columbus Cattle Foundation and Dog, although Dog wasn't, but Columbus Cattle Foundation was paid with general funds and another provider was paid out of general funds. And her response to me, Jill Dandenmiller, was that, which I kind of thought anyway, but if it's out of the expenditure grant period, which would have been after June 30th, you can't pay out of it. The problem has become is that they've paid out of the expended grant period, and I've done an Excel sheet for you, out of the grant period since the year 2000, amounting to about $1.25 million from 2003 to, and even here. You can see.
Okay.
And I just made the totals for each year.
So this is the total of the 1.2.
Right.
Okay.
Right, and we haven't even done fiscal year 2010 yet, because we haven't seen those yet. And these are sums that are paid outside that period from the 572 fund. And here's an example just of one, which is Dog. As you can see, the highlighted sections, he was paid 8, 9, and 9.20, I think.
Okay, now these were paid out of the, you're saying that was outside of the grant period?
Yes,
Okay, and these were Dog's payments outside of the grant period?
correct.
Okay, I know I have this, but I don't think I have this. So if I can get a copy of these.
Do you want her email, your email too?
Yes, I wasn't copied on this. Did she mention in her email that those payments may have been for services? Can I see her email again? Let me see. I know I have a copy of it, but.
I was kind of able to verify it also. Ms. Smith, from, as you can see, this is actually Southwestern. They sent me their breakdown, and they're never outside of June 30th for any of their years. Those payments never come outside of the June 30th period. And that kind of helped verify it for me, and that's for their last 3 years.
Okay. I'd like to get a copy of that also.
Okay, I also wanted to show you that Dog, you remember Dog International? Dog had filled out his vendor application for the state of Ohio and said that he was going to charge $25 an hour. Dog got on the list probably about 2005. I wanted to show you what Dog charged us as a district.
That's a big difference, 25 versus 70, 50.
$70.57 he charged us. And then as you can see, he was paid $169,000 just for that period from August to March.
Oh yeah, I know, I've seen his payments somewhere before. Okay. Yeah, I have, let's see, if I have these. Well, I'll just go ahead and have them make copies of all these for me. And I'm going to get a copy of all of these.
I wanted to show you how many different ways Somali American Youth uses the UPS store as if it is his address. The very last contractual agreement he signs with the district, he also places the UPS store as his address. And that was signed this year. And that's where he had received all his checks. And that was from ODE, actually, and where he actually again says his address is the UPS store. Now, to go with that is another woman who signed up a contractual agreement this year with our system, and this was in our SES booklet. She also uses the UPS store, and as you notice, she calls it a suite. And so both of them have contractual agreements this year.
Okay, now I'd like to get copies of these also.
Oh, well, and I'll give you a copy of this because when I went to these addresses that she placed on the Ohio Department of Education, these were UPS stores also, in Cleveland and Cincinnati.
Okay.
I think you have a copy of these already, Somali American Youth. This is the Somali American Youth, they call it STAY, and this is helping applicants where they're offering $500 and $600 per student.
Yeah, you mentioned this. I don't have these. Do you have these?
No, those are not.
Okay. No, I don't
Okay,
have these.
because I gave these to Joyce, I thought she was.
She gave them to me.
Oh, okay. Yeah, if I can get copies of these.
And there are witnesses that they don't want to come forward until there's actually some type of criminal investigation on it, so they did not get paid on any of this. So there's quite a few people out there are kind of hot about not getting paid and being offered this.
Right.
But I kind of thought they wouldn't get paid. When I looked at the contractual agreement, I thought it was just really a scheme to kind of pull them in because the amount of money was so much, $500, $600 per child. And so I wanted to kind of go over the many people that offered money.
I think you might have seen this one.
I think this was in the packet.
This is where he had offered the mother a $20 kickback if she signed up, and then offered her $20 for each parent that she signed up. But then when they turned in the applications, they were altered and changed to Somali American Youth rather than the.
I'm aware of the situation, and I don't think we have this actual copy, this actual document. Is this a conference meeting?
Yes.
I think we do have this.
You can make a copy of it and be sure.
Yeah, let's do that just to make sure. Put this on silent.
He had a school employee that, although he filed a criminal complaint against waste, he's a school employee, and he benefited from a contractual agreement. It was his contractual agreement where he was offered 70% of 100% after expenses.
And then he was actually paid for $17,000.
Okay, I think this is the,
This is Liz.
yeah, this is the one where he wrote some bounce checks, I believe.
Right. But I don't think anyone realized that Mr. Omar himself was a school employee. Because he is only placed down as a tutor. And this report shows he's a school employee, but he's only placed down as a tutor, not a person that is supposed to be headlining.
Okay. So we have this, but we don't have this, I'm sure. What is on here? Okay, we have all these. Thank you. So we'll thank you. Let's just get the whole thing, so that way we know what we have.
Okay. Because I was saying to Joyce that $17,000 is an awful lot for tutoring. Why was he paid so much money? And then when I saw that subcontractual agreement of 70%, then it made sense.
Okay, yeah, that makes, the 17,000 is what he was saying that the owner of Waste owned him. I mean, the 17,000 consisted of the tutoring and the kind of recruitment bonus.
Right, getting a percentage for each child that he was able to get. And Waste is also, I consider it false advertising. He is saying that he has a contract.
Waste Learning, at the Waste and Learning Center, he has a contract with that this Columbus City Schools has a contract with Waste and Learning Center. Columbus City Schools has never had a contract with Waste and Learning Center. They had a contract with Waste Network Technologies, which is what he claimed to be. And so he's advertising.
Okay, yeah, I would like to get a copy of this also.
A copy of this email. He did not list anything but the Heritage Department says a site for tutoring, but this
site inspector went to, I guess, someplace on, which was probably this Waste Learning Center, which he was just constructing, and it was under construction, but he had listed it as a tutoring site. And when he went there, there were no students. There was, which is why I just didn't understand why Waste was allowed to continue to get paid.
Okay, sounds weird. Do we have this email?
We have a copy.
Okay, we have a copy of this email.
And here is where the address that he gave the district, he actually registered, not Waste Network Technologies is not registered, but he did register a home health care at that 3204 Boston Avenue where the checks were going.
And transportation. I think he also has a daycare. I think that was one of the reasons why he stated he wasn't able to pay.
Right.
He
He just constructed that daycare not too long ago. It was Learning Center.
Okay.
That's when he's advertising. And saying that he has a contractual agreement with the district on. He's never registered on Waste Network Technologies.
If I can get a copy of, let's see, this is home care. Okay. Yeah, these also. I'm not sure how long he's how long this has been a provider.
I'm not sure.
Okay. Okay, well, I'm not doing so good with getting this whole thing back in there.
I think he's been a provider since 2007, 2008. I really don't know where the district would have gotten this address at, but as you can see, his termination letter was sent to 1425 East Dublin. But 1425 East Dublin is the Somali American Chamber of Commerce. He's using 2200, 3204 Balsa. Now he's using the American. You want copies of both these?
I have this, that would be good. And that's the Somali Chamber of
Somali American Chamber of Commerce. And here's another one. To be natural by design. Surprisingly enough, they actually put their contractual agreement and what they're offering money on their website, which I found amazing. But as you can see, she has quite the contract put together.
So this one has the 19th.
And she's currently getting paid. She has it broken down for site coordinators, and I don't know if she understands that she can't approve providers. You know what I mean? Only the state can approve someone to have a site, to gather students, to do their, and she's actually acting as if they're independent contractors underneath her as SES providers and paying them, saying, and she's taking a cut almost like a barber in a salon where you take a cut of their business. I don't even know what the fee for transportation and fee for food is at the bottom line.
Yeah, so I was looking at the
I don't know what that is for the first 18 days.
Yeah, if I can get a copy of this, I have I've seen that before.
Saying that Americom and academic, I thought it was concerning that Americom and academic bridging are using the same, like he is saying, he moved out of that. I guess I didn't get that he moved out of it because this is the address that he's using. But they're both using that same address, as far as I'm concerned, because he still goes to the Southwestern School District.
Oh,
Americom.
okay.
And academic bridging,
That's a Sullivan Road address.
yes, 3556
Sullivan Avenue.
Sullivan Avenue. And I wanted to also show you how they do flip their suites. And right here, Americom is saying they're in suite 301. So they kind of like flip their suites whenever they choose. But the other thing with academic bridging is that he just registered for the very first time. It's February
2011.
Right, he just registered it. And he also uses the name Percy Barr and Percy Farrah.
I think that was in one of the emails that,
Yeah, I got the Percy Farrah from, he's using Percy Farrah with Southwestern. He's using Percy Barr on ODE, and he's using Percy F. Percy with the district.
okay, it's academic bridging. So it's always using multiple aliases.
Yes, and then if you want it,
I'll take it, I don't have it, but I know it was in the email, but actually having the documentation is even better.
got this from Ohio Department of Education. And I think that might, I don't know if you got a chance, but that was in that packet, yes. That was in the packet. There's some more information as well.
This was in the Love Works, Linden project, husband and wife, I think.
Yes. And you saw the termination of Waste and Linden Learning in the same email?
Waste and Linden Learning.
The termination was in the same email.
Yes, I did. That's the one where I believe Ms. Hackett had sent ODE some questions about.
Yeah, and she had said that the detective told her that it would probably be a wise thing not to enter the contract.
Yes, I did have a copy of that.
Okay, and you got a copy of that, and you got a copy of this check form 2777. They both registered. It's interesting because they did both register. Because he has acted as if, well, I don't have anything to do with my wife's business. And he did put down 277 on his vendor application also, in both spots.
This is a vendor application, so I won't read that. But I will. Can I see this for a second? I need a copy of this.
And then, Better Choice is a new vendor that signed up for you guys. And as you can see, she also put her address down, 277 is the mailing address. So we already know that that address doesn't exist, but she put it down as her mailing address. And she's actually part of her name is Gloria Peaks. She uses Michael Branham as her, I call it her front person, but they're all the same. Yolanda, Michael, and Gloria Peaks. She's actually part of that contractual agreement also.
I know I don't have this.
That's from OD and that's from the state. Yeah.
You said Gloria Peaks is associated with a Better Choice Development Center.
Yeah, they're all together. John Brown that she's using as her, I call it the front person, because you can see John Brown is the only name on the ODE information.
Right. Can't write as fast as this stuff is coming out. So let's go on to the, already have information on, Love Works.
It's Yolanda Bell with Linda Learning, Michael D. Bell with Love Works, and Gloria Peaks is A Better Choice Development.
Okay. I did ask for a copy of this, right? Yes.
And here's where Love Works Entertainment advertise themselves as a record label.
Mm-hmm.
And then here's where you see Michael D. Bell is the general manager. His booking agent is Yolanda Bell. And it's a rapper called Remedy 2 is who he is. And his real name is Michael Bell Wheelwright. And that is actually the name that Michael D. Bell uses with the Ohio Department of Education.
Michael Bell, all right.
Is what he used with the Ohio Department of Education, but with the district he used Michael D. Bell. But Michael Bell Wheelwright is really this little boy right here. Remedy 2 is his rap name.
Okay. Yeah, I would definitely like to get copies as well of this.
And then I had gotten this email in which someone had wrote that they had attended the Columbus Public Schools district provider session, and that they had totally emphasized that if the name on ODE and the name on the district did not match, then they were going to terminate. That's why I didn't understand why Ms. Hackett went to Mr. Percy Hersey and said, well, why didn't you use the name Barr when they had indicated in the meeting that that was the emphasis that they were going to have, that if those names didn't match, it should be a concern. Now Michael Bell Wheelwright doesn't match to Michael Bell, and now you got Percy Barr doesn't match to Percy Hersey.
Mm-hmm.
His Lincoln Park Tutoring Center. He doesn't, there is no registration for Lincoln Park Tutoring Center, but he does register Unicare Home Health Services, and then he uses that address as his address for the Unicare. And that's actually what's on the marquee, and when we went there, that's actually what's on the marquee.
Unicare.
Unicare. For that.
Get a copy of.
This is ODE's information. This is the certificate statement. And once you add to that, ODE has Quickway as having that address. And then as you can see, Quickway actually filled that out, crossed it out, but as you can see, they were going to, on the member application, put that address also.
Mm-hmm. Let's see, so this is 334. Unicare. But on the marquee, it just lists as Unicare.
Correct. And Quickway uses 1611 Woodland Avenue District. I don't really even know why they have those. And
say these three are connected in some type of way because he almost put Lincoln Park Tutoring Center's address, and then he almost put Horn of Africa's address, which would have been 1391 Oakland Park. So this gives me the feeling that Oakland Park, Cliffway, and three of them are connected in some type of way. Especially since he uses this address for ODE, which is the same as Lincoln Park Tutoring.
Horn of Africa, no, yeah, we terminated.
And they use 5 different addresses, and I kind of like put all those together. He uses several addresses.
Is there additional information for Horn of Africa?
Yeah, his addresses, all those different addresses that he uses, I think that's all. Use their address.
This one here, I have all the emails, but I don't have it starting with the, Auditor of State, from the county auditor on that. I don't have that.
I don't know if you might have gotten this already. I don't know if you also noticed that I meant to point out to the other ones, they constantly mark out on these claim consultants. I mean, if you go through their claim consulting payments, they're constantly adjusting them. I mean, almost every time they do a claim consultant. The other thing is, the claim for consultant sheet, if you were to use the first sheet, lose the first sheet, the second sheet, there's no indication of who it is. There's no connection to the person. Now, if you were to lose it, then, you wouldn't know who it was. And, I don't know if you saw that they went on and paid. They said that this woman came in, and I think how she got busted was she came in and she signed her name. She was signing her name as Talia Reader. Okay? But then I think she made a mistake when she was getting ready to sign out, and she put her name down as Akina Hunt. And I think that's how she got busted. But neither one of them were on the list. What concerned me is that they went on and paid them. You paid them from a sheet that you already said was a fraudulent record, but you went on and just eliminated the fraudulent part in your mind, and they went on and paid them.
Yeah, now this is home. Talia Reader, yeah, I'm familiar with that piece there.
And I really thought that was kind of serious for her to assume a dying identity of another person and actually sign the document. And then to pay.
Yeah, and I think Talia Reader, this is the person who she was signing to be, but she's actually a King Hunt. I know it was.
It's supposed to be actually King Hunt who she stated she was, and it was supposed to be Talia Reader who signed as King Hunt.
But anyway, it is something I
No, it was Akina. It was.
But that's what they wrote. I don't know. I just need an email.
She was signing Talia Reader. Akina Hunt was signing Talia Reader's name instead of her name.
These, it looks like it's hard to read.
Yeah, it was Talia Reader. She was signing Talia Reader's
See,
name.
we don't have any of those.
Yeah, we don't
and
have.
the other one we have, the one we were presented with has Akina Hunt signed, so that might be why.
Yeah, and then at the bottom, that's how she got busted, because in the one document, I don't know why she did it, but I guess she forgot who she was supposed to be, and on the one document, she signed at the bottom, A. Hunt. And then that's, I think, when Joyce said, well, who are you? Are you A? And then that's when she fessed up and said she was Akina Hunt. But then she got an email giving up the other name, which was Talia Reader. And that's how she knew about both of them.
Yeah. I would like to get a copy of this.
Okay.
Because I was under the impression that it was the opposite, that a Keene Hunt was the official.
The whole packet, because I think that's the whole contract. You know, we're just the point.
Okay.
Did you have that email also talking about the whole thing? I didn't include it for that. But it was an email, and the choice is,
We have an email, but I don't know if it's stating that she always comes back to us.
You know, do all the emails.
oh, here it is. Here it is.
Okay.
Oh, I've never seen that. You have to take your glasses off to see them. I've never seen that.
I need them for distance, not for up close, but this is, yeah, this is it, but I thought,
That's where Joyce is saying, oh, the person there was a Keena Hunt, who was to be a reader. And either way, neither one of them was supposed to were on the tutoring list.
yeah, we have this, and maybe,
I think that Keena document is in there too. Where she signs at the very bottom.
well, okay, the tutor is supposed to be denied entirely based on tutor to Leah reader. And then
Here
there's,
she is.
And
Yeah, that's what she did. And then she forgot who she was and signed right there.
name of tutor. This stuff here. I mean, it all needs some additional review, but I thought that Taloria Reader was impersonating this one here.
And yeah, you can see the email. That's when Joyce says, I don't know who is Mrs. Reader. That's what Joyce is saying to her in the email. I'm a little confused.
Yeah, I have some of this, but if I could, if we can just get it again, it'll keep it all together. But it sounds like either one was an assigned tutor.
When we initially talked to Joyce about a lot of the tutors, like they have the parents sign up on September 15th, but the tutoring, much of the tutoring hadn't begun even at the end of January. And so at first, Joyce and them said that they had eliminated African, what do they call it, African Refugee Educational Cultural Services, that they had removed the 63 students from them. Then when we came back with record check, they said they had placed the 63 students back with them, I guess in early February or something. And then they went to their site and they didn't have the paperwork again, so they suspended them. And so these tutors actually started tutoring February 28th. I think that's absolutely insane for you to put children back and forth, stop the tutoring. And I said to her, why is it that you are allowing tutors, when you ask the parents to sign up by September 15th, you are actually waiting this long, allowing them to delay the services until January, February, before students even get the tutoring? When you told the parents that they were going to get the tutoring, I think it's 15 days after the IEP, so the latest is supposed to be October 15th that this tutoring starts. And here, this person is not starting until February 28th.
15 days of
And that's what it says on their information to the parent, that they were going to get that tutoring beginning then, but the majority of these people didn't start tutoring to January, February.
let's see. This one doesn't ring a bell. I thought this was, there was one that was suspended, but this one doesn't ring a bell.
Well, Waste was suspended also in January. keep going back and forth with them. And then you find out they don't have the medical records of the students on file like they're supposed to.
No, I have this.
We received this because we were insisting, well, when are these providers going to start? And, you know, when did they finally get their information and who's keeping track of it? And they said the secretary in the office, I can't remember her name, it's not Rosemary, that Rosemary was keeping track of this. So I requested. The problem is that they approved them, but they didn't have their background checks before they approved them. They didn't have their list of tutors on before they approved them. They didn't have their student roster before they approved them on the majority of the cases.
Okay. Yeah, if I get a copy of this. And this was provided, you said by Rosemary?
Right, in the SES office.
And I had her send me an electronic copy so I can do some other sorts on it, but for now I can get a copy of yours and I can recall what is I'm going to want for her to send me.
And it appears they don't have criminal backgrounds and all the background checks on these employees. And I guess they just realized it because they then Joyce just sent me this. She sent me this on the 19th through email, but they revised it today. I mean, she put down that they revised it today, but she sent it to me 19th, which was Friday.
Okay.
Yeah, or the 18th. The 18th was Friday.
Right.
Yeah, the 18th. And that's different. Now it's requesting anyone interacting with the children, whereas first it was, I guess she thought they understood that they're supposed to put down everyone, but they were only putting down tutors. So now we have all these people that are interacting with them that obviously they don't even know who they are or whether they have criminal background checks.
I get a copy of that because what I'll actually look at the completed forms.
And I didn't bring it, but I guess they have a copy of it. And No Child Left Behind, in their booklet that they give the parents, 47 of the providers that they're doing the contractual agreement with are not in that booklet. 47 of them. And that out of that 47, 15 were paid probably $1.25 million last year. But they were left out of the booklet. I think that's one of the reasons that they headhunt. So it's really not the parent choosing, it's the parent being targeted.
Right.
And then here's the stuff on the, I got an email, and I thought I had it in here, but I don't. But I got an email from Dennis Carney. And Dennis Carney says in the email that the vendors are not required to register in the state of Ohio in order to do business with Columbus City Schools. But that is a state requirement that the businesses register in the state of Ohio. And I thought I had the email, but I don't have the email.
Do you have about time frame that he sent the email?
Probably September.
September or October.
Mm-hmm.
I can either ask him for it.
No, I can forward it to you.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, here's for a quick way. It gives their 1611 address.
Oh, okay, Portland Avenue.
But that's not what they put on the vendor application.
Next, I'm going over to Woodland for this. I can see what's on there.
I think it was church or something.
I don't know what I was thinking of. How when I went today. I need a copy of this one also. And this I can pull off the state's, Secretary of State's website. Here's this. I can get that from our internet.
Okay, the ones you want copy of. I don't know, I thought you wanted Michael Will, right?
I think with this
one. The
one,
letter from OGE, I think that one had.
yeah. I think with him, I
You had
wanted
a
all
check.
the, He's the rapper, right?
That's Americon there, though.
Okay, yeah, I
I
have
think you have all that. But I don't think you had ODE's letter, right? Where they terminated him. But you had his check. And you had his vendor application.
And so the non-sticky ones are going in this file.
No, they're going in here. Otherwise, she's looking all over the place.
Well,
I think some of these kids are going into the most dangerous areas for their tutoring. I mean, I would never want my child to go into some of these areas that they're placing in.
yeah, one of my questions was if there's a way that we could get out ahead to see where the tutoring is taking place. It's like the monitoring happens, which is good, but it happens after the tutoring has already started to take place. So if we have questions about some of these locations, is there a way to see where they're thinking about putting the kids before, they're actually being sent there?
Well, that's one of the things, and you could probably write that down. One of the federal requirements that changed in October 2008 is that the districts had to tell the parents where the locations of tutoring was. They had to have in that booklet so that, of course, which makes sense, and the parent can see where the child is being taken if there's transportation, or see where they end up having to go if they're beforehand they'll find out that it's closest to their home. But since 2006, 2007, they have not put any tutoring locations in the booklets. They have nothing in the new booklets to say. And some of these vendors are from California, out of state, out of the city, so their parent would have no idea whether that was the correct vendor. So that was a guideline. That was a federal guideline that they changed October 2008, and it said you have to put those locations. In fact, did you get the complaint? A copy of the complaint that we sent to the Ohio Department of Education? Did they share that complaint with you?
When did you send it?
We sent a complaint to Ohio Department of Education December 27th. I guess I'm going to need to give that to you. There was a complaint, as a matter of fact, Jill and Joyce responded to it, showing, because the Ohio Department of Education showed me their responses, and I didn't understand the responses. But yeah, they did put the location. My complaint was that they did put the locations in the book, which was required. One of the complaints was that they put all the providers in the book report. The number of them were missing.
Well, I know I haven't seen the complaint, but if you can send it to me, but I'm going to check to see if maybe they copied me on the response. Because I know there was a response that was due, I want to say January 31st.
Yeah, it was due a little bit later, I think, than January 31st. I think it was February 8th.
Okay, that doesn't ring a bell.
They had to respond. And right now they've got the complaint was you've got, and I know when it's all said and done, if the U.S. Department of Education gets involved, we're going to have to pay that money back. They placed 16 schools that were already an academic emergency and had them acting as SES providers as well as Columbus City Schools. They have them on the list. They interpreted, and Ohio Department of Education also, they interpreted the waiver wrong. The U.S. Department of Education gives you a waiver. And the waiver allows schools and districts that are in academic emergency, the waiver allows them to act as SES providers even though they're in academic emergency. But you have to file an intent to apply. And you had to file that, I think it was by May 2010. Columbus City Schools didn't file the intent to apply, and neither did the 16 schools. I saw the email where Jill Dandemiller says to the person at Ohio Department of Education, because they did do the intent to apply for 2009-2010. So she's writing her and she's saying, I'm right now working on my intent to apply. When do I have to have it in or something like that? And she writes her back, ODE writes her back and says, oh, you don't have to do that, you have to do this. However, it's clear that you have to do the intent to apply, both the district and each individual school. And then you have to go through the approval process like every other provider, in which you ask to be approved by the Ohio Department of Education, and then they put you on a list. I was trying to tell them that none of the schools, the 16 schools, not only are they not on the ODE list, the state list, but they're not even in the SES provider booklet. So how did the parent even choose the individual schools in order to be providers? But at this time, they're not even qualified to be providers because they never applied, they never filled out the intent form. And you have 400 and something students that are being provided services by schools that are really ineligible to provide those services.
Now, I know I have this book, but can I just look through?
Was that the 2000? No, that's 2000. This is the 2010, 2011. Yeah, that's it. And so she put these in the booklet, that list right there, but as you can see at the top, she tells you that she's going to give you the additional list after September 3rd and gives you this website. But when you go to this website, it just clicks you back to this.
And so September 3rd is the last day the providers come on board.
No, the providers have been on board. I really don't understand that at all. You know, why they would do a booklet when and her reason was, Ms. Hackett's reason for the 47 missing out of the booklet was that they didn't get their descriptions in on time, which the description is all 5-6 lines. It doesn't make any sense that the provider makes, these providers make $1 million and something last year and fail to get it. You see how long the description is. So to me, why should they even be able to provide services if they couldn't get a description in? Which you make the meeting mandatory at the beginning of the year, but if you don't make it mandatory that they get a description in so that you can construct a book that a parent can choose from. And that's why I told Joyce they're just targeted. They're not allowed to choose. These parents are just targeted. The guys that were offered the money, they said when they went to get the students, the provider's name was already in there, and they would and then after they turned back in all the parents had signed up, the provider said that they would fill in the second name, and they're not supposed to do that. Mm-hmm. One guy said that all three, because they were actually going into Cincinnati and other areas too, and these ministers said all three of their names were filled in when the parents. So the parent never had any kind of choice. They just went to them, and the name was already there, and that was the provider.
The name as far as the tutoring agency, okay, such as I know the one that I saw where they had crossed out. I think it was Sherwood and put in Somalian women and children. Okay.
And they believe they're doing a lot of that because they're just assigning them. In fact, it says assigning on their sheets. They're just assigning them to tutors.
Yeah, and parents, it is supposed to be parent-driven.
Parent-driven, right. I'm supposed to be able to look at that booklet. I'm supposed to be able to actually, the effective ratingness is not in that booklet. I'm supposed to be able to look and see what providers were effective from the previous year and determine, but it's not, the effective rating is not in that booklet. And then as you can see, it says tutoring location, please call. That to me is adding another, you have long distance numbers in there. Some people don't even have phones or long distance numbers.
And here's the Cleveland. I'm assuming 216.
And then the 27 of the ones in the booklet don't even have contractual agreements with the district. So it was like, what a waste of a booklet. Half of them are from not even in the city of Columbus.
Yeah, some of these names don't look familiar, so I don't think that we entered into contracts with them.
No, you didn't enter into contracts with over half of them. So the booklet was pretty much, I think you might have maybe 15 in there that you actually entered into contract with. And you'll see a number of them are outside the city of Columbus or outside the state.
Yeah, Garnet Systems, they're in Baltimore, Maryland. That doesn't ring a bell. Here's the 1611 address for Quickway.
The one guy said that's what they were given. They were given this list in order to go out to the parents. They were given this list at the back of the schools. And if any of the parents fell in those schools, they actually went out and got 300 names. And suddenly but they went out and got them over the summer. Then they found out that the applications that they used were not the right applications, because the applications, you can't use last year's applications, and the Somali group had given them last year's applications. So then they had to go back and try to get the parents to re-sign. Then after they re-signed them, they were told that the parents were going with other vendors. And by the time it was all said and done, he said they had 25. And then the Somali group said they didn't have any English-speaking tutors. So they had to find a woman who could speak English. Speak English to do the tutoring. And so they got her, and they said just by the time it was all said and done, the parents got disgusted. They were down to 7, and then everyone just dropped off. And they ended up with no one out of 300, and was not paid any money. And they ended up paying the tutor themselves. And that's what I mean. You have people out there acting as SES providers who are not approved because these people are subcontracting and offering them $500 a head for the student.
Is that one of the providers that I have documentation on?
That was helping applicants in redirection.
I know I have notes on that. Was that I'm sorry, was that the one where there was the actual agreement where they had,
Yeah, helping applicants in the directions actually had an agreement form.
Okay.
Where they said they'd give them $500 if they got over 100 students and $250 if they got under 100.
Okay, and then this person had got 300, but they used the wrong form and okay.
By the time it was all said and done. That's why I think they're switching. We had talked to to be natural, and they said they had put in too many things, and then only ended up with 80 or something. So somewhere along the line, they started assigning these students to particular providers, which is not what the parents sign up for. I think that's so it's almost like a bait and switch. Like you sign up for one thing and you're given something else.
These are the same group of people who are upset that they didn't get paid. For the most part, some of them who went out and did this.
There's actually 5 groups. There's so you're talking Somali American youth, Somali American youth, WACE, Somali women and children, Helping Africans in a New Direction, they're called HAND, To Be Natural, and Community Threads does it too. The way we found out about Community Threads was they had done it here and they had gone to Cincinnati too to do it. And then this guy's supposed to call me back where someone from Columbus offered him $800 per year. A minister's group offered $800 per year. So, and part of your billing, none of that billing is supposed to be incorporated, for them paying anyone to recruit in those kinds of numbers or to recruit at all. The billing of the $2,100 for each student is strictly supposed to be for the tutoring. But what they're doing is incorporating what they're going to pay those people, or supposedly to pay those people. I don't think any of them except for maybe Omar is the only one I know that got his money. And that was probably because he went to the elders and he filed a criminal complaint against them.
Okay. I'm sorry, you could say,
Somali.
that's what you see in Community Threads and I don't know, it was
To Be Natural.
Yeah, here.
To Be Natural by design.
I think the per student rate this year is over 2,000.
So he is 2,200.
And the highest that we've seen is 600.
On that, where we actually have a contract at 600. I think that's why they choose so many locations too. I think that's to kind of, it's hard to monitor that many. When I see them down there with maybe, 5, 6, 7 different locations, that kind of like, to me, is an indicator that that's just to kind of throw off, because it's difficult to monitor that many locations. And I think that's why they have so many. How did you even control that many locations?
Well, I also, they had mentioned that there was some who were also offering like a laptop that they could put on. I don't know if you heard this before. They were offering like laptops or maybe other electronics.
Yes.
If,
And they were told a long time ago not to do that. Only if you use that as part of your instruction. Yeah. I bet those parents didn't get any laptops though. I bet those parents didn't get their laptops. I think they ran into a problem, and you'll find that quite a few of them have the Ohio State tax department after them. Quite a few of them. Do you know why they would not fill out W-9s?
why the vendors I can inquire as to.
Because W-9s, and this is just from us dealing with vendors, W-9s were so that the IRS would know how much independent contractors were making, because sometimes they wouldn't report their income, so they would require us as a district
Here's this.
to get a W-9 from the vendor, so that the vendor they could then turn in that W-9 as well as what we paid that vendor, and then the vendor can't get away with making a certain amount of money and not reporting it to the IRS.
Let me check on that, because I thought that I did see some W-9s, but that could have been for another.
Yeah, I did get some of the W-9s, but I didn't understand why they all did not, like Lincoln Park Tutoring Center, they're not registered in the state. They claim to be a nonprofit. They have no 990 forms. Several of them have not filled out. Now that's a required form if you're a non-profit. Unless you're a church, which is probably why ABC Tutoring flipped over to Total Deliverance Ministries, so that they wouldn't have to show that 990 form. But Lincoln Park Tutoring got over $1 million and filled out no evidence that they filled out any kind of tax form.
Any reporting to any.
No reporting, no W-9, no nothing.
Yeah, that I will have to check, because I thought, I know just going through some of these, I did see W-9s, but if that's one who doesn't have one, Lincoln Park or their other name.
Well, what his name said that they're our vendors in the district, which I never heard of that. Dennis Kearney, when I asked for the W-9s, he said to the little girl there, she sent an email, Teresa Spence, and she said that Dennis Kearney said that the vendors in the district are not required to fill out W-9s. Just don't see how that's possible. Yeah, I just don't see how that's possible. Most public entities, colleges, require those W-9s from their vendors.
Yeah, I can't speak to that without actually going back and seeing who has one and why someone would be exempt from having one. I was thinking maybe it's under Unicare, because that might be the doing business as name, but
they never did put it as doing business, not on anything that they say they were doing business as. And a couple of them are really home health care. That's another concern. Are they doing a Medicaid fraud along with the educational frauds? They've become very adept at what they're doing. I mean, they're quite adept. And their names are so unusual and so hard to, they flip their names so much, they flip their addresses so much.
Yeah, that one I have to, I can't speak on. I'll have to check and see. To me, yeah, there should be. But let me see what Mr. Carney has to say.
I thought I read that the IRS requires them.
Thank you.
And I could send you those emails.
Okay. Yeah, they're all helpful, but there was that one that would really be helpful. The one from Mr. Carney.
On not being required to register in state.
Well, thank you for meeting with me. I mean, I, definitely am interested in getting all the facts that we can on this.
I appreciate it. It's frustrated me for a long time. I just don't like paying my taxpayers' dollars if the students aren't going to get the services. It's like, I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. If you're going to steal it, I don't want to do it. And I really felt that they have been, like I said, the first thing that got me was Dog when he stood up there and said, "Where's my money?" And it's like, well, he's saying he has bad credit, and I don't know of anyone that can say I have bad credit and get another $51,000. And then I started calling on the Ohio Department of Education's website in 2005, and these vendors were in California and Texas. I'm like, why do we have these vendors? And when I called the numbers, they would be disconnected, or the person would say, we don't do any tutoring here. And that's when we began our journey on trying to find out what is going on. And it's just become a bigger and bigger market as the years go on.
Yeah, I've been kind of noticing the district payments have increased.
But only to certain vendors, and then that's what I found, that when I went through the district payments, it was for the last 3 years, the specific vendors that seemed to get the money, and then they would drop off. It was like, Dog made $169,000. What vendor would stop doing the services after making $169,000? No vendor would. They would continue to do it. Or Club C was paid $225,000, and suddenly Club Z didn't do any business with the district anymore. No one would do that, and that's when it became suspicious that they drop on, drop off, drop on, drop off, change their names, you know.
Okay, well, like I said, this will be on the audit and accountability committee agenda, and what it will be, well, you know, I definitely don't have a report to present, you know, Thursday. It will be, you know, an update of what I have found out since, you know, the last time that I was involved with this program since October. You know, we do have some falsifications of documents. We do have some. I'm still not quite sure what's going on with this Taloya reader or this ACON. There's some type of imposturing, some type of forgery going on in that case. I don't know who's done the forgery. You know, I don't know if it's ACON or Taloya Reed, but whatever. So I will give them an update.
Now, how will they be, when will the vote be taken for whether they've turned over to law enforcement?
Without being able to predict the future, some of this most likely will. But
because I'm just a little, because this is kind of like out there now. Didn't want it to necessarily be out there before, but it's kind of like out there now. So I feel like these vendors are getting this opportunity to destroy things, you know, that whole 9 yards. And so for me, at least those that were terminated, that you terminated because they, as you notice, they didn't squawk a whole lot about their terminations of their money. So that just kind of like told me that what the district found them to be doing was most likely true. Like Love Works, the fact that, I mean, that's mail fraud. You're going to give an address that you know doesn't exist to have all your checks into it. That makes no sense. And so for me, if nothing else but those terminated vendors, you know, I would hope that they're turned over to law enforcement because the district did find them to be doing those things.
you know, that for that right there, because I don't want to, you know, I know what I'm thinking. I would say, yeah, some of those do definitely need to be turned over. Which ones or how soon there might be a request for us to get more information, I can't say. I mean, some of these, you know, yeah, we terminated them in 2011, but what about some of the prior, you know?
I think the fact that there's absolutely no terminations prior to March 2010 is very telling. Like, why wouldn't we have any? It's been going on, our program has been going on since 2002, and there's absolutely no terminations. So I'll give Joyce tack at that. I mean, she at least started the termination process, but I can't think that no vendors have been complained about prior to that, or everyone got paid prior to that, or, you know, just what happened in those other cases. So I'm glad you're looking back to see what's going on, you know, with the vendors. But they just need to be, you know, as far as I'm concerned, they just need to be responsible.
Educational Recovery Clinic had a little situation where they had to sue for their money.
Right. They did have to sue for their money.
And my question is, I presented this information to the board in regards to Larry Braverman.
Mm-hmm.
He's part of the triad that reviews this. So you have the audit and accountability, you have yourself, and you have Larry Braverman as the attorney. It disturbs me that you were not made privy to the fraudulent information that you are now reviewing, while Larry Braverman was fully aware of those terminations. My question is Larry Braverman going to be part of the loop as far as this information here, taking it to the Audit and Accountability Committee or to law enforcement?
As far as what goes to the Audit and Accountability Committee, I am in control of that. So as much information as I have will go to them. And I do have to work with that committee to determine, okay, yes, turn this over to law enforcement, or we want you to do some more digging on this situation. So I can't say, what Mr. Braverman's involvement will be. But I am confident that the Audit and Accountability Committee is going to want to, if there's someone or some entity that needs to be, taken to law enforcement, they're going to want to do that.
Well, my concern is that since he was obstructing the investigation, that you should have been privy to this information. He did not present it to you knowing full well that you needed to know it. My concern is he needs to be put on administrative leave or some type of positioning so he's not involved in any of this procedure, because he has already shown himself to not work with you. He didn't present the information to you, and you yourself said, had you known about this fraudulent information, you would have turned it over to the prosecutor or law enforcement.
Right, and with that there, I don't have any authority to determine someone being put on administrative leave, but all the board members did, get the packet that you presented last week. And typically, they won't, at that meeting, come out and say, okay, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. But, that's for them and the superintendent really to discuss.
Well, I don't know if you have any opportunity to make any suggestions, but if you do, I'd like for you to make that on my behalf.
Well, I appreciate your feedback.
Thank you. The other thing is, we have all this information and documentation that we presented to you. Is there a way that we can get a confirmation?
Well, I haven't, you're facing it.
Yes, I know, but I'd like something written.
Because it's a lot of information.
Well, the point is,
I think, just a confirmation that we submitted. You know how you gave us the confirmation letter prior? Some type of confirmation that.
I mean, this is adjunct to the complaints that we've already filed. It's a more extended information, but we first filed based on the No Child Left Behind, based on Dog, based on Carol Harper, based on what we have seen here. Now we've filed those complaints, so I think it's an ongoing complaint, but I'd like to make sure that we get some kind of confirmation that we presented it to you.
Okay, I was thinking you wanted something specific for each document. I can give you something that we met and you gave me some additional information.
That'll work.
Okay, I can get that to you.
We're not equipped, am I correct? You're not equipped as an auditor's office to do a criminal investigation.
No, we're not criminal investigators.
Yeah, you're not equipped to do that at all. So you would have to turn it over to law enforcement.
Yeah,
because you're not equipped.
That's really the policy that you have, that is our policy, and that's our practice that we have followed in the past. There are a couple of cases where once we've done, some investigating, it's like, okay, this needs to be turned over to the police, and then the police will do further investigation and then turn it over to the prosecutor. But no, that is not what we do.
What about the fact that it's federal funds as opposed to, how you turn it over because it's state funds or local funds? The fact that it's No Child Left Behind federal funds and that it could go up to such a large amount, or would it be up to the police then to pull in?
I have that question posed, and I have not gotten a response yet. But it is federal dollars, and the Office of Management and Budget, they do investigate their, federal fraud cases. So I'm not sure if the police will make that determination as far as, okay, this needs to go to Franklin County, this needs to go to the state, this needs to go to there. So, but I have put that question out there, so I can't answer it right now.
You have another committee in the district that deals with federal funds? I thought that's what I heard you say.
No. The Federal Office of Management and Budget. You hear OMB sometimes.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Right.
Does every district have one of those, or that's a state office, or?
It's a state and it's also federal.
Oh,
The state of Ohio has it, and then it's also federal. For like the state of Ohio, the Office of Internal Audit, their reports is part of the Office of Management and Budget.
Now, how does it work with your audit that's already going on by the state? Do you have to turn all this over to the state now, or does the state wait for you to do your thing, or how does it now work with, are you still having an exit conference on?
We're still having an exit conference, and the state at any time, can come in and conduct a, what do they call them?
Special audit.
I want to say special audit. I know that's not the right term, but they can come in any time and do.
Oh, regardless of whether they give you an exit, they can then turn around and say, okay, now we're going to do a special audit just on this SES program.
Yeah, they can on anything that anything that funnels from the state down to us, which this does come through Ohio Department of Education to us. So they can do that. Of course, any federal agency.
Now, you saw where Mark Michaels, the attorney for ODE, sent the email to us, and I think
Was this the one where I know he mentioned he wasn't, was this in relation to LoveWorks?
No, the one with Joyce Hackett, where he says, surely if Joyce Hackett knew about this fraud and collusion, or believes that there's fraud and collusion, surely she would would have turned it over to law enforcement, and if she didn't, it should be defamation of character. Could be defamation.
That was the last email in my package.
Yeah, I have seen that email. I'm not sure what packet I've seen, but I did see that.
I think that was one of the ones that was in the board packet. Yeah, it was one of the ones that, but it's like, have they communicated? Are they part of this whole thing? Or they've been silent?
I've seen where someone from ODE has been copied on the correspondence.
Yeah, they were copied on it. So when he gave us also an email in which he said that they received an anonymous packet of termination letters. That they had no idea that that these terminations existed, which was kind of unusual since they were copied on the terminations.
Was that in the email packet that, okay,
That
can
one
I
was
get a
it.
copy of that one?
Oh, okay, yeah, I'm sending that. Yeah, he certainly did. That they didn't have any idea and received it as anonymously, but his is kind of ridiculous because the attorney filed a complaint with the ODE about the terminated letters, and the person that responded to him was Mark Michaels. So then for Mark Michaels to then send an email saying, we didn't know about these, didn't make any sense.
Oh, so the attorney you're speaking of is Mr.
Petrakis.
Petrakis.
I filed a complaint and included the termination letters. At the same time, he sent it to Carol Perkins.
Okay.
And then he wrote back and said, oh, we can't take this complaint. That's what he sent back to the attorney. Then he sends us an email, I think in March, and said that they got these anonymous, and then gave us sent us the anonymous terminated letters with a stamp that they just received in March 1st, 2011.
And those were the letters that that I've seen as far as.
And they were copied to them.
Okay. No, if I could get a copy of
I'll get a
that
copy.
email.
Do
Okay.
you want Bob Petrakis' complaint?
Yeah, if I can. I mean, where I'm at with it is any information that I can get will help
I would hope with whoever was involved.
Yeah, and then also, you know, where I'm also at with it is, you know, this program has good intentions behind it. You know,
so many. I mean, seriously, I can afford to at the time. I can afford to send my son to Sylvan or Huntington, but this was for parents that would ordinarily be afforded and to have it. And then they explained the tutoring program wrong. Nothing in federal guidelines says that they have to be tutored to the test. But to be natural, they were telling me that they were told that they could only tutor to the test, which of course eliminated any child that passed the test. But this could have been done, all it was that they were supposed to be tutored in the subjects that they're tested, and that was science and math and reading and social studies. I mean, they could be tutored in any of those subjects. That's all it said. Just raise their achievement. And so the parents began to not like it because their child would be in school, but it didn't help them with their homework. But they could still have done it that way. And they convinced the parents, the SES vendors, that the only thing that you could do was hand them diddles and increase their achievement by doing it. But students are not going to add another hour and some 2 hours, 3 hours to the day, and all they're being handed is diddles. And it doesn't equate to what work they're receiving at school. And so it just destroyed the program. It just really did. And it was a very, very good program. Could have been, you know. But what happens is the districts can't use the money, and so they get in bed with the people from the outside who then really don't do what they're supposed to do.
yeah. So any information that you have that will help if something is turned over to the police, so they have complete information.
Okay.
That will be helpful.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you.